The office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Revlon, St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
It's now time for Meet the Opposition, hosted by Lenard Spider Montoute. Mr. Montoute, it's good to see you again. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Andre. Good morning to our viewers and listeners in St. Lucia, around the region, and in the diaspora. It's nice to be here once again. I hope all of you had a good week between last Thursday and today. Of course, the usual. We had the usual story that has become commonplace, shootings over the weekend. I heard of at least shootings in Tenry, in Soufrière, and in Montsepa and Grosile, and we had some fatalities as well. Again, no comment from the Minister of National Security and Prime Minister of St. Lucia. Of course, when he was in opposition, we heard him talking about 3 murders in a weekend. That's, how absurd it was, how outrageous it was and everything. But now it's not a concern. And of course, under his watch, we know there have been many more than 3 in a weekend. But, such is the nature of politicians, some of them, how the double standards that they display, the hypocrisy that they display, and so on. Now, talking about double standards and, hypocrisy, character is an issue that I think we have to take a closer look at when we are electing people to office. And when I talk about character, I talk about, their integrity in general, in terms of whether they are honest, whether they are accountable, they are responsible. These are things that matter. These are things that make a difference. And there are a number of cases of late that has forced me to, look at the issue of character in politicians. And so we were talking about the Minister of National Security, Prime Minister of this country. Now, we heard recently that the president of the Police Welfare Association, Mr. Cameron Law, came out and was lamenting the fact that the insurance that is in place for police officers, and for those of you who do not know the story, there is an insurance in place that was put in place during the last administration, where there's a deduction of about $75 from the police salary. And in lieu of some allowance they were supposed to get for like a risk allowance, they instead settled for an insurance policy, which I think was a wise idea. And I understand that the coverage is if a police officer dies from natural causes, he receives about $100,000. If he dies in the line of duty, he receives, his family, when I say he receives, his family would receive $300,000. And if a police officer is in an accident, gets injured or what have you, they can get up to $75,000 in health coverage. And I think that's a splendid thing, that's remarkable, considering, Andre, all what we say about the police.
So that was started under your administration?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, bravo.
Yeah, but considering, Andre, they more than deserve that. And not to mention that part of it has been deducted from their salary anyway. And that was part of the negotiated settlement when they were having the wage negotiations and so on. But when we think of, like I said, we all criticize the police, we say all kinds of things about them, but when you think of their job, they put themselves in harm's way. Their job is a risky job compared to others, and they go out there, risk themselves and their lives, to protect us, the citizens, and to protect our country. So that is not more than what they deserve. That's not more than what they should get. However, that program has run into problems since the change of administration. And that is because, according to the president of the Police Welfare Association, Mr. Cameron Law, the payments are always late, to the point where there's a threat that the policy can be cancelled. And so much so that there are times when they have difficulty in getting settlements for their members, because, of course, if months have gone by and you have not made any payment, the insurance company can actually forfeit the thing, let alone pay you. So, of course, that is the opportunity for the insurance company to put pressure. If you want me to settle, they'll have to pay, you know, that kind of thing. So they have had delayed payments as a result of that and all of this. So Mr. Cameron Law, apparently in his frustration, made a statement about that. The Prime Minister responded to Mr. Law, in effect, calling him a liar and saying that he was trying to make mileage out of the situation, but what he's saying is not so. And in fact, the situation is that there is money. The problem is not cash flow, but it is a question of the vouchers not being received so that they can make the payments and government make payments against vouchers and so on. So I just want to, you know, because I'm paraphrasing here, Andre, I prefer sometimes to hear in the person's own voice. Let's hear the Prime Minister in his own voice what exactly he said in response to the complaints made by Cameron Law, President of the Police Welfare Association.
The way the insurance is paid by invoices. The invoices went to the Police Welfare Association. That's where the invoices go. Only yesterday, the Permanent Secretary got a copy of the invoices, and I have copies of them, and when they came across to the Ministry of National Security. There is money to pay the police insurance. The money was voted for. There is money to pay it, but you must pay it from an invoice. The insurance company themselves admitted that they were late. No police has been denied any insurance coverage because of that. So to believe that you can gain mileage by misinforming about the insurance is not right. I want to assure the police that we've ordered all the ballistic vests, and we have absolutely no problems with cash flow to pay the insurance. Absolutely no problems. Once the invoices arrive, the insurance is going to be paid. And I want to thank them for what they do.
So, Mr. Montoute, who dropped the ball?
So, according to the Prime Minister here, it is a question of delays in receiving
the invoices.
I noticed he kind of skipped on to bulletproof vest. I don't know where that comes in that conversation, but, you know, and I have my views when people do that, what that means, you know. But in effect, based on what he's saying and what I heard from Mr. Cameron Law, I mean, he is far more diplomatic than I am. He didn't say Cameron Law is a liar, but he implied that. That's my take on it, okay? And if that is the case, probably if I was in his place, I would say Cameron Law is a liar. So, let's hear what Cameron Law has to say in his defense based on what the Prime Minister said. So if you can play the other clip, Andre.
Okay. You would have heard the statement issued by the Prime Minister and National Security Minister regarding the payment of the insurance on behalf of the police. He says that according to him, there is money to pay the police insurance. It is a case of getting the invoice. Your reaction?
Timothy, I don't like calling people liars, and I certainly will never refer to the Prime Minister as that. Your show, of course, does not subscribe to it either. But it's either somebody or some people are misleading the Prime Minister, and in some cases the Prime Minister knows better than what he has said. Because this problem, Timothy, it is not a yesterday's problem. It is not a 6 months ago problem. It is not a problem from a year ago. This problem has been for 3 years and counting. Every single time within the last 3 years plus that we have had to pay this policy to the insurance, we have had to pay it in arrears. And every single time the invoices have been submitted. So this is not, the Prime Minister should know that, and he knows that. When we have to pay this insurance policy, we have to be running around to the PS, to Treasury, to our accounts department, to also ensure that this insurance policy is facilitated. As we speak now, the insurance policy has expired, And you know why we have not been able to renew the policy? It is because we have been asking, we have written to Commissioner, we have gone to the PS, we have gone to the HR department, requesting a manpower audit. And without a proper accounting of every police officer, we cannot renew the policy. 6 months we were asking for this. And we have not been able to give, we were not able to receive a manpower audit for 6 months. Surprisingly, Tim, it has become a public conversation. And on Friday the 3rd, we received the manpower audit after 6 months. The insurance company called me, and the agent also called me, indicating that they are unable, the invoices that are being submitted are short only because there have been new recruitment in the force, and these persons are not appearing on the invoices. And every police officer is supposed to be accounted for. Timothy, for the Prime Minister to say that the money has been damaged as a result of invoicing, Timothy, we have not been paid from June to March, part of the 6 months. All invoices were in place. All of them were with the accounts department and treasury. We had not been paid for these months. June to March. Sorry, we were not paid from March to June. Right? The invoices that the Prime Minister speaks of now, and I have in my possession an apology letter from the insurance agent for not having submitted 3 invoices from July to September, Tim. These are the only invoices that were not available, only because had they submitted those invoices, it would have been short because the manpower audit was not available. So for the Prime Minister to speak the language that he spoke, knowing better, knowing that it is not the fault of the Police Welfare Association, we have a letter of apology, right? We have invoices in there, and we only got those monies but a week ago only because it came out in the public, Timothy. You understand? And for the Prime Minister to come out and say it is the Welfare Association's fault that the invoices were not submitted. But invoices were submitted from March to June, and they still were not paid. And as I said to you earlier, it is 3 years and counting. This problem has been there. We have written to the Permanent Secretary lamenting the fact that this policy has not been paid and serviced regularly and in a timely manner, and it runs the risk of being cancelled. We have written on that, Timothy. The Prime Minister knows. He knows that. The Commissioner knows. The PS knows. The Accounts Department knows. Our HR department knows how many times we have been to them asking for this manpower audit for the last 3 months, for 3 months. Not the 6 months that I spoke of. That's for 3 months. Right? As we speak today, the invoices that were submitted, the most recent invoices, it is short. It does not adequately represent the entire police force because we had not received the manpower audit, or the insurance company had not received the manpower audit that we've been requesting for 6 months. So like I said, I'm not going to be calling anybody liars. And for the Prime Minister to speak on the fact that there is money to be paid, Timothy, and the storeroom has nothing in there. Police officers cannot get uniforms. There is money to be paid. Timothy, I'm very, very surprised at the Prime Minister when he says that, because I know he knows better. I know the Prime Minister knows that this issue with paying the insurance policy in a timely manner has existed for more than 3 years. He knows that. And every single time that we have had to pay this insurance policy, we have had to pay it in arrears. We have had to be asking the insurance agent or the insurance company to bear with us. We're trying to see that this thing is settled. So you don't come and blame the Welfare Association today. We are not the one responsible for the manpower audit. It is from the office of the commissioner to give the directive, and we wrote to the commissioner of police. And the manpower audit, the invoices that he spoke of, was only for the last 3 months, July to September. And surprisingly, it becomes a public conversation, and a manpower audit suddenly finds itself in the emails of the Police Welfare Association. You understand?
What accounts?
This?
You're saying?
Yes, I'm listening to you, Tim.
Yes. What accounts for the delay, as far as you are aware? It's as a result of inaction on the part of which particular department?
Timothy, as far as I know, the invoices comes from the insurance agent to the Welfare Association, and it has been submitted in a timely manner every month. You understand? Every time we go to the accounts department, we're told that they have submitted the request to Treasury for payments. Go to Treasury, all we're told then, the payments are not ready as yet. The payments are not ready as yet. We're seeing it on the system, but it has not been approved. We're seeing it on the system, it has not been approved. These are the answers that we've been getting for our question. So if there's money to be paid, why are they seeing it on the system at Treasury and it is not being approved?
And interesting enough, that Prime Minister is the National Security Minister and also Minister...
He is the National Security Minister.
And Minister with responsibility for finance. What are the implications of those delays for the police officers who have to be out there in the field, and the possibility of them being injured, the possibility of them losing their lives while they are on the job?
The insurance company could decide that the policy has lapsed, and it is not in effect, and they're not making any payments. Thankfully, as I've said before, we have had a very good relationship with the insurance company, and they have always, had patience with us as it relates to paying this policy. They've always worked with us whilst we try to get the payment. I wrote to the PS up till recently in May, asking the PS to regularize those payments, because the implications are dire for the police officers and the families of those police officers who pass, and those police officers who get injured during in duty, or whether on or off duty. And some police officers have called me, today. Some police officers have called me and said, "Come on, did you hear the Prime Minister say there is money and the storeroom has nothing? They cannot get uniforms. They cannot get basic things like toilet tissue and paper towels sometimes." And he speaks of there being money as Minister of Finance and National Security Minister. And the Prime Minister is one who touts that I care about the police because my father was a police officer, Tim. Tim, there are a lot of things that I could speak of that I'm not saying, There are many things that I could speak of. And only because I'm in a place where I'm staring down the barrels of retirement, I'm containing myself. But when Prime Minister comes out and speaks like that, and I see something came out from SNO, Central News Online, over the weekend, it upsets me. And I'm not going to allow anybody to cause, to create the perception that I'm not speaking the truth.
So what was that information on SNO?
The Prime Minister knows that the very same thing that the Prime Minister repeated, that it is the fault of the Welfare Association. The Prime Minister knows.
Okay. Here we heard, first of all, in the first clip, the Prime Minister. Then we heard a response by the President of the Police Welfare Association, Mr. Cameron Law. Now, it is for the public to decide for themselves who they believe and who is telling the truth. But my take is, first of all, I want to give Cameron Law credit. Because very often, when the honchos, the high-ups speak, people are too afraid, even if they have a counter, to say what they need to say. I commend him for that boldness to come out and clear the air and give his side of the story. And I also commend him, Andre, for restraining himself from calling the Prime Minister a liar, because that's what I would have done. I would have called him a liar. And if what Mr. Cameron Law has said is the fact, and I have no reason to doubt it, I've seen copies of letters that he has sent to the PS and so on, so I have no reason to doubt him. I'm telling you, it's obvious who is the liar. Okay, now he didn't even say that the Prime Minister call him, give the perception that he's a liar. You know, the Prime Minister gave the perception that he's not telling the truth. You know, Cameron, I don't know. I recommend you for a diplomatic position. You know, but before we go, before we go any further, I want to welcome my guest, the Honourable Sarah Flood. I still call you honourable. To me, in my eyes, you're a very honourable lady, and you were the last honourable person to represent Castries Central, and. You know a thing or two about diplomacy, and so you might tell me, no, Spider, don't say the man is a liar, you know, but I've said it already, so you can correct me now if you like. But I think people in high offices must be honest, must speak the truth, and must not mislead people deliberately. And for him to accuse the president of the Welfare Association of trying to make mileage, I wonder what mileage he's talking about. Last I checked, the guy is not a politician. So who's trying to make mileage by coming out and distorting what the actual situation is? Now, the thing about it is, I think St. Lucians downplay and overlook that trait of our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister has been dishonest time and time again. I have a program, a talk show on Mondays, where I have a segment called Secret Lies and Propaganda, and that represents SLP, Secret Lies and Propaganda. And I would say as much as 80% of the clips that I play are of the Prime Minister telling lies to the nation. I mean, and that does not concern St. Lucians, it appears. But when a person cannot be honest, that person cannot be trusted. And if you have to get someone to represent you, it must be someone that you can trust. So there is an upcoming election. Having said that, I ask St. Lucians to do some reflection and ask themselves a few questions. Whether you want someone you cannot trust represent you, especially if you never know when that person is telling the truth, can you trust that person to represent you and to be the face of your country?
As far as the invoices are concerned,
yeah.
Who prepares those invoices? The Police Welfare Association or somebody else?
No, it's supposed to come from the ministry. Okay, it's supposed to come from the ministry. By the way, the minister is the Prime Minister. Now, you know, he said that, it's interesting, you know, Andre. He said that there's money. There's no problem with money. There's no problem with cash flow. There's money. Now, the Minister of Finance is in a position to say that, mind you. And he is the Minister of Finance. But we're hearing Cameron Law saying that there is no toilet. He went as a toilet paper in the police storeroom. Okay? Uniforms, toilet paper, what else he mentioned. So it means then that if there is money, because the Minister of Finance says so, it means that the Minister of National Security is in dereliction of duty, because it is his responsibility to ensure that the police are provided with what they need as minister. So I'm calling again for the Prime Minister to assess the situation. In this case, the Minister of Finance will get a pass, but the Minister of National Security should be fired because he's not living up to his responsibility. Now let Philip here go and figure that out. You know.
So what about the people who are supposed to be preparing these invoices? They certainly obviously have been dropping the ball.
Yes, but if it has been happening for 3 years, like Mr. Law indicated, someone has to look into it. There's the permanent secretary, and if it cannot be solved at the permanent secretary level, the minister has to intervene. He is ultimately responsible for the running of the permanent secretary is the accounting officer, but he is ultimately responsible for his ministry. So it is his responsibility to ensure that a matter such as this is covered. How much do you care? Now, you know, I have to go there. Putting people first. Now, if you put me first, the first thing you should be concerned about is my safety and my security. Who is or which institution is responsible for my safety and security? The police. So if you don't care about the police, you care about me? You know? And that is where, you know, glibly uttering slogans is one thing, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know, you don't demonstrate in any way that you care. You don't care about the police officers. You understand what I'm saying? And these are the things. Yeah, and I have to ask the police to take stock. You know, the administration who in the first place put that in place. Now, Andre, I always do my research. Because, you know, government generally are guilty of certain things. Delays, lateness, and all of that. So I inquired. I said, but wasn't it the same when the Chasney administration, which I was a part of, was in government? Were you all paying late and so on? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, there were times when there were advance payments.
Can I say something, Spud?
Sure.
I'm not sure if I can butt in or whatever have you. So I just want to say a pleasant
By the way, Ms.
morning.
Flood, welcome to River.
Thank you very much, Andre. I must say you look very well.
Thank you. You as well?
Thank you. It seems that my prayers also for you worked. So I learned of the death of your brother. I'm so sorry about that. I did keep you and your family in prayer.
Thank you.
And I want to say, well, thank you for having me here, and also thank you.
Oh yeah, and let me I'm joining and say welcome to Meet the Opposition. Like the new candidates say to me, I have to change the name of the program and call it Meet the Government in Waiting.
I agree
very
completely.
welcome.
Thank you, and a very pleasant good morning to viewers and listeners. I just wanted to butt in, Spider, on the whole question of the insurance, which is something that's so important. I mean, your health insurance is something most people who have health insurance and life insurance, they do a salary deduction. You don't want to mess with that. You know, you want that to come out of your salary before you get your salary, because this is what it is: insurance for unforeseen circumstances, calamities. You want to be covered. And when you think of what the police do, at no point should their insurance not be paid. At no point. And this is where, I mean, you can say you care, but you must show you care. Don't tell me you care. I don't need to hear you say it. I want to see that you care. And this is something that is so very clear. How can we be in a situation of such heightened crime, in a situation where we have so many road accidents, so many fires? Every day, the police and firefighters go out there and put their lives at risk. And even if nothing happens, they want to have the confidence. They want to know that they can go out there and do it. I mean, just think of the families who are having sleepless nights because daddy's out there protecting the citizenry. Mommy is out there as a police officer protecting the citizenry. And we can get bad news at any point, and just to think that that person is not covered and that the government doesn't understand the importance, that it has to 6 months in arrest, is totally unacceptable. That says everything.
Let me ask you something.
That says everything.
As former ministers, both of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think you have time as a minister? You have so much on your plate, okay? Vis-a-vis the Prime Minister, for example, who has much more on his plate. I'm just asking the question. As former ministers, do you have time to worry about things like invoices?
No, normally not.
Right.
So you figure those who are...
Right. But you put the systems and procedures in place. The minister has direction and control over his ministry. I think this is what the Constitution says. Or if it's not a Constitution, it is in a document somewhere. I think it's the Constitution. The minister has direction and control of his ministry. It means the buck stops with him or her. So what I used to do, for example, even as a young minister when I first came in, and Andrew, the thing is, you don't get any courses or coaching before you become a minister. I mean, I did politics A-level and I did constitution and admin law in my law degree. You can do the theory, but there's nothing really that gives you the practical know-how. I mean, you go there and you put yourself in politics, you get elected, and you have a ministry the next day if the Prime Minister chooses to appoint you as a cabinet minister. What I used to do was have policy meetings every week. Every Monday or Tuesday, I sat with my key heads of departments. I did this as a young Minister of Health when I got in at 26, 27. And I said, okay, is there anything I need to know? Right? Minister so-and-so hasn't done this. Do we have any issues that I should know about? Well, Minister, we haven't paid this. I said, well, okay, can we address this week? And next week, we would keep records of our meetings and we would list what needs to be followed up on. So you put systems in place to make sure you're on top of things.
Okay, because when I hear things like toilet paper and so on, I'm saying, as a minister, you don't have time to be worrying about toilet paper.
Yes, but if there is some negligence down the line and it is escalated, brought to your attention, it is your responsibility as minister to follow up and find out what is wrong, where's the breakdown, and why it is not addressed. You know, so ultimately, like Sarah says, the buck stops with you.
And then you have your heads of departments at these meetings. So they have, this is why there's a chain of authority, so that the minister is not supposed to go out there and buy the toilet paper, but there's a head of department, there's a supervisor, so that it escalates, and many things are dealt with before they get to the minister's level, and they should be dealt with. But if it's not happening, you need to have a system whereby you can be on top of things. Now, there will be situations where things have slipped through a crack and you head outside before you head inside. That happens. But still, you can immediately call and say, why am I hearing this? Can I have a report on my desk by the end of the day so I know what's going on? You will get that report and then you will, well, okay, we need an urgent meeting to address this. This cannot go on. So you have direction and control, and your staff are accountable to you as you are accountable to the people. So there's a method, there's a system by which things ought not to get to this level.
I understand.
Yes, now, Andre, I'll pivot a little. I mean, now that I have my guest in studio, former Minister of Government, as she indicated, when she was very young, she was a former Minister of Health. Of late, she was former Minister of Foreign Affairs, and three-time parliamentary representative of Castries Central. Yeah. You know, and we're happy to have you here. I mean, it's not too much to welcome you once again.
Thanks, bye.
And I will turn my attention to you. My listeners and viewers always prefer to hear my guests than they want to hear me.
You're very popular, Spider. There are lots of people who look forward to hearing you.
And so I'm going to start off with you on some matters that I think you're better qualified to deal with than both Andrea and I.
Hopefully.
Matters that touch and concern the issue of gender, women in particular in this country, and where, we have seen a few incidents that have taken place. But I'm going to start off, since we're talking about police, I'm going to start off from there. There was this incident not too long ago where Miss Eldris Charles, a media person, made an allegation that a minister of government, Dr. Ernest Hiller, pushed her. And I think that matter there was a charge, I understand. The minister was brought to a lineup and all of this thing. I do not know where it stands right now. But I know these are matters that are of concern to you as a woman yourself. I want to hear your take on this whole matter, because for some reason I think you're well placed to speak on the issue. Not only you are a former minister yourself, you are a woman and you have legal training. So I think you're better placed than I am to speak on the matter. So I want to hear your views on this whole situation.
Yeah, well, first of all, Spider, I would like to... I watched the video that was released. It was released and we all watched it and we saw what we saw. And what I saw from Eldris Charles was a woman of courage and a woman of grace, in terms of how I saw her at the Parliament trying to get the interview. And I believe that she was there with permission, because the ministers, some of them did give her an interview. And I saw the way she was asking, and even when she was speaking, doing the interaction with the minister, I don't think we were hearing what he was saying, but we could see the body language and we could make up our own minds about what we saw. And then the speaker, even before that, had come to say, well, he saw the video and, he's sort of like, I'm paraphrasing. He is he didn't see anything of what she alleged happened there and what he's going to be, not quote unquote, but I'm paraphrasing as I said, looking forward, sort of, or expecting to see, or that a prosecution, or she's going to be prosecuted for wasting police time or whatever have you. And had we not seen the video, I think the public would have believed the Speaker of the House that he saw this and she was basically alleging something that didn't happen at all. And what I'm thinking of in terms of where this matter is at, and I've publicly asked the police for an update on this because, like you, I heard that there was a lineup and I heard that she had positively identified the Minister of Tourism as the alleged perpetrator of the alleged crime. And we've just heard nothing at all have we heard since then. The police has told us nothing at all. And from my knowledge, and I'm subject to correction on this, there would be a lineup and an identification parade only after somebody's charged. Was the minister charged? With what offense was he charged? We don't know that. Had it been an ordinary citizen, that would have been public knowledge. In some cases, the person's picture would have been posted everywhere. Had it been Eldridge Charles, who they were already anticipating a prosecution, had it been the case that she in fact said what was not true, we would have known what would have happened to her, because it was always already being looked forward to from the highest level.
Right.
But it's the shoe is on the other foot, and there is complete silence. Now, what is the ordinary citizen expected to make of that? She went there to ask the ministers questions where nobody else dared to. As she explained, I mean, I was not there in the vicinity of what happened, neither did I see it, but she explained that she was waiting because the Prime Minister was having an interview and she thought it would have been discourteous to breeze past him. So she was waiting for him to finish speak so that she could make her exit. And she explained all of that with grace and respect from what I saw. Maybe there was stuff I didn't see, but from what I saw, I saw somebody who genuinely had a reason to be there, was entertained by some of the ministers because they gave her an interview, and she was waiting to make her exit. A law-abiding citizen. And then she is allegedly, we have this alleged because up now we don't even know if he was charged. We suspect he has been charged because of what has happened with the lineup, of which we heard happened and the police haven't clarified either. And where is Eldridge Charles now? Where is she? What is the ordinary citizen supposed to think if they have been assaulted and they've made a formal complaint to the police? Because it's a high-ranking official, it's okay? And then we have so much crime in the country. How can we ever deal with it?
Yeah, well, and that's the concern I have, that, it is said that, justice must be seen to be done, and the perception must be that there is in fact justice. And with what is transpiring right now, it's very easy for people to assume that because of who it is, things are handled in a different way, as opposed to had it been just an ordinary citizen. And so we have to be very careful about those things, because these things can have serious repercussions, not only in terms of the confidence that people have in our justice system, but in terms of how they will react, later on. And so, that is one issue that, I wanted to hear your comments on and so on, but it appears when talking about high-ranking officials, as you put it, that there seem to be impunity when it comes to high-ranking officials abusing people. And I'm going to be very specific. You have Richard Frederick, who is a member of cabinet, who has a talk show like I do, and on a weekly basis almost, he goes out to abuse, intimidate, and, make allegations and so on about individuals. And he uses his privileged position to get information on people, as he himself has admitted, even information from the police, and then makes revelations on people's private, personal affairs on TV and radio. And that is known to all, except, I suppose, the Prime Minister, who has not done or said anything about it, And, these are the things that we cannot tolerate and entertain in a society. When it's happening from such high level, what do you expect will happen at a lower level? So I just want your take on that.
Our country, our country is in a very, very sad state of affairs. Very. We are on the edge of the precipice. And the way I feel about it, it's if we allow the Labour Party to come back in there, all hell will break loose, and I mean it literally. We will not see crime. We haven't seen crime yet if we allow the Labour Party to get back in. Because the Labour Party's actions and inaction facilitates crime as far as I am concerned, supports, facilitates, and encourages crime. Because, I've served in other administrations, and if you did something that you shouldn't have done, you would get a call from the Prime Minister. And you would have to explain your behavior to the Prime Minister. And I'm talking about both Labour and United Workers' Party. We have a Prime Minister now who doesn't know, doesn't want to know, never sees, does not want to see, and washes his hands of anything that happened. Calix is a big man. This person is a big man. That person is a big man. He can speak for himself. You are the Prime Minister. You are the one who has people in cabinet. From the day after the election, the Prime Minister one who appoints ministers at his pleasure. If the Prime Minister wants to reshuffle his cabinet, he does not have to even inform the minister that he will not have a job tomorrow. I was fired on TV. I was fired on national TV. I was not called and told I'd be fired. I was listening to Kenny Anthony's speech like everybody else. And when Kenny Anthony announced the ministries, I realized I didn't have one. That was in 2003, after I was on my second term of office with the government. That's how I was fired, on national TV. And when I heard I was, up to now, Kenny Anthony hasn't called me to say I'm firing you. Right. This is what a Prime Minister has the power to do. He doesn't want you in his cabinet tomorrow. He doesn't have to give you a reason. Philip J. Pierre loves what Richard Frederick is doing, and he wants him in his cabinet. He needs him in his cabinet. And he needs him very close to him in his ministry. And I'm saying this with no hesitation whatsoever. And Andre, violence doesn't start with a violent act. It starts with a violent thought. Someone doesn't just wake up. Of course, accidents happen and people get killed sometimes, but that's not a homicide, You think of, there's a hatred that comes. And before you go out and commit a harm someone physically, you think about it. There's violence, there's anger, there's everything that happens before you go out there and commit the crime or decide to kill someone. And if you day in, day out assaulting people, using violent words against people, and I'm talking now about the ministers hearing this, happy with it, no problem with it, celebrating it, soon you yourself will go out and assault someone because it's in you. You've already accommodated it. You've accommodated the thought. So it's not difficult for you to find yourself putting your hand on someone. Because day in, day out, you've accommodated assaults against people. You've heard it. It's okay with you. Then it becomes you. That is why the Labour Party is so dangerous for St. Lucia. That is why. And that is why I'm not going to repeat it here, obviously, because I've been taken to court over it. That is why I'm not scared to tell Philip J. Pierre what I think about him. Because, you see, a leader has to be a teacher. A leader sets the tone, a leader sets the example. And a leader, rightly so, ought to be held to a higher standard. Because you're saying what is okay in the country. And your silence speaks loudly. And the time is coming where St. Lucians will have to speak. Where it's only every 5 years, or if the election is called before the 5 years, that the electorate has a chance to speak. Rarely. I mean, we can speak, we can agitate, but really our speaking is in our voting. And we need to say, all of us, resoundingly, we need to say to this administration, St. Lucia is better than this. St. Lucia is better than violence. St. Lucia requires accountability from public officials who've acquired wealth that's inexplicable. We cannot have discrimination perpetuated at the highest levels in our country. It is wrong. And all of the other things that we're seeing. Crime needs to go down. I mean, there's such a lack of respect on the road. I don't know if you see it.
But, you know,
I get cursed on the road for nothing. Honestly. Drivers now are so ready to curse you, the biggest curse words. And why do I get cursed on the road? And let me give you an example. I mean, I've been driving since I was 21 years old. Okay? I've been driving for more than 35 years. I mean, I don't call myself a boss driver, but I think I'm a safe driver by the grace of God. And I get cursed the biggest curse words because I have stopped at a red light and there is no vehicle coming the other direction. The driver is cursing me because I'm not breaking the red light. I get cursed big curse words because I'm stopping so that I can move in, get off the main road, and the person thinks I'm not driving fast enough. I get cursed because I'm not overtaking a driver and the person thinks I ought to overtake. Is it just me? I mean, they're not cursing me. They don't know I'm the one driving, but the curse word is flying from the minibus, flying from the car. And it happens almost on a daily basis, you know. It's just a lawlessness in the place. Lawlessness in the place.
But I want to ask you this question. You were talking about crime, you're talking about lawlessness. We have an institution, the police, that is supposed to uphold our laws, enforce our laws. But you have a situation where we have at the very high command of the force an individual who has been accused by a number of female police officers of sexual assault. I have my own views, my own feelings about how this whole situation has been handled. First of all, forget me, it is standard practice that if there is some allegation or accusation about you, an investigation must ensue. And to facilitate that investigation, you would be sent home, sent off the job. Instead, I don't know how you think I would feel if I am the alleged victim, to see, in rather than you being sent home for an investigation to be carried out, that you are promoted. That is what I see happening. I just want your views on this whole situation, because perhaps I'm the one seeing it wrong.
Yes. You see, again, Spider and Andre, the environment, the whole environment that this government has created facilitates all of this. The whole environment. I mean, long ago, well, not too long ago, if a situation like that happened, if somebody felt this allegation was made against them, sometimes whether or not it was true, and we don't know whether it is true, it's an allegation, or although there have been formal reports and whatever have you, the person would offer his resignation. The person would say, look here, I intend to defend myself. This is not true about me. I am going to go to the full extent to prove my innocence. But I appreciate it's harming the organization. So I will, for the time being, step aside and go and do what I have to do. There used to be honorable people who did not even wait to be fired, who did not even wait to be sent anywhere. It's okay. I understand. The police is such an important organization. We have so much work to do within the crime that is infesting the country. I do not want to hamper these operations in any way. I don't expect the Prime Minister to do it. I'm not waiting for the Prime Minister to do it. I'm looking right past this Prime Minister. I'm not. I'm gone already. Philip J. Pierre is no leader. I'm not expecting anything else from him. I'm not. And on a previous occasion, I called on the police officer in question. I called him to do the honorable thing. Step aside, go and deal with this matter to allow the police force to work with respect. But clearly, from the Prime Minister's point of view, that's how he has addressed many things. It's hands up in the air. It doesn't matter about the allegations. It doesn't matter that they have been formal reports made, formal reports that warrant investigation. But I last heard that these matters are closed, aren't they?
Yes, some of them.
Well, the DPP ruled on this particular matter.
Ruled on it that it's closed.
Yeah, but not all
And
of them. I understand there's still one outstanding.
And and again, I think about those brave women. It's not easy to report that you've been sexually assaulted. I mean, the women who've been sexually assaulted who go to their grave and they never tell anybody. They never tell, not their sisters, because they feel so embarrassed, feel so abused, really, and feel so ashamed when they have not committed any crime. But this is the nature of a sexual crime. This is how it makes one feel. So it takes a lot of courage, especially in a small society like ours, where everybody knows everybody. And not just that, nowadays the world is, you make something happens today. By the way, hello to all the people of the diaspora. This is what it is. And to think again, just like that, what does that say to all women out there? And that's what I want to ask our sisters today. What does that say? What does that say to all the women out there who are abused day in, day out? Is someone who's facing domestic violence going to even bother? And as we speak, the shelter is still closed. The shelter remained closed for almost 5 years under this government.
So Ms. Flood, as a lawyer...
Can you imagine?
As a lawyer, this case involving the senior police officer, can that be reopened, especially since the DPP has ruled on it?
Well, first of all, the women can bring a private prosecution if if they wish. And I'm not a criminal lawyer, but I would think that a private prosecution could be brought. From what I heard, was said that there was not sufficient evidence when the DPP looked at the file. I think it was one of the police officers who was giving a comment on that.
Right.
When the DPP looked at the file, or when the file was looked at, it really didn't have. So let us just say, and again, I'm subject to correction on this. If there is additional evidence that can be brought forward, perhaps it can be reopened. I'm subject to correction on this. I'm not a criminal lawyer. But I do not necessarily think that that is the end if the women really want to pursue it. There might be other avenues that can be explored. But that would take so much courage, and the system is corrupt, or it appears to be corrupt. If it's not corrupt, I'm subject to correction. It appears to be.
But
It appears to be so.
when there is the perception that even police women are victims, can you imagine what ordinary women will think and how they will feel? And that's the concerning aspect of it, Yeah, but I want to just change gears a little and ask you. I mean, you are, if I'm not mistaken, among the first 3 women to be elected to Parliament. I mean, Maroc was the first, and then I think it was Menisa and yourself
Yes.
afterwards. We have seen more women in our politics now, not as many to say that we've gone to the point where there's proportional representation of women in politics. But at least there are a few more. I know each side has at least 3 candidates that are women in this upcoming general election. I just want your view, having been there and been among the early ones too. What is your take, your view, your sentiments about women in politics, how women are treated and so on?
Well, I'm really, really pleased to see women in politics on both sides. I think it's really important that we continue to put ourselves forward. So I want to commend the 2 new women candidates. Not the 2 on the Labour Party side, and we have 3 on our side. So I want to commend all 5 of us. I say us.
Well, there are 3 on...
new, I said
new. Okay, the new.
Emma's
Right,
been there
okay,
from
new,
before, yes. So this is really a good thing for women generally, to see that, people often say it's a man's game. I don't think politics is a game at all. I take it very seriously. It's not a game. It's about people's lives, and it's very serious business. But women bring particular skills to any organization. We have a different perspective in things. There's an intuition we have that we bring to the table. There's a go-get-it, no-nonsense approach that we can bring. Not all women bring it, by the way, because I've been sorely disappointed with the women of the Labour Party who are current ministers, and I've said so before. But from a general point of view, the feminine traits that we have can get so much done and can bring such a more balanced perspective to decision making. So we need women there. When women put their heads together and they fight, nobody can test us in terms of going out there and getting. So I want to applaud women who have come forward, who've put themselves forward. Now, we have some great women on our team. We have Marcella Johnson, who's just amazing. I mean, Marcella and I go way back, way back. And I don't think Marcella ever thought that she'd have entered politics, because she used to say, Sarah, but how can you do this? How can you do this? She laughs, she smiles very often. And Marcella is in politics today because guess what? Women need to step forward with what's going on in our country. The cost of living. It's women who feel the brunt of that most. When we wake up in the morning and we've got to prepare lunches for our children, we have to figure out what goes in that lunch kit. And trust me, I mean, I've been there because I have 2 children. By God's grace, they're adults now. But when you wake up and you try to figure out what's going in the lunch kit, that is, with what's going on here, in terms of the gas prices, the 2.5% levy, the cost of bread, the increased cost of transportation, the absence of health insurance, you just name it. Every morning, all of these things affect a woman just from the time she gets up. Bus fare. Does the child have a runny nose? Do I have anything to give the child in terms of medication? Sometimes, even at the preschool level, you send your child with a runny nose, the child is not allowed to come to school because if the child has a runny nose, all the other children are going to get sick. But you don't have the medication to give the child. So you have to keep the child home. That means you can't go to work because you can't afford daycare. Listen, women bear the brunt of the cost of living crisis that we have in this country here today. And this, I'm just explaining this to see why it is so important to have people who feel it, who know it, who can be there to say, no, we need to address this. And I believe that all 3 of our women candidates have their hand on this. Laura Jean-Pierre, Lady Lee. These are women who are seasoned, let's put it that way. They have their feet on the ground. They are mothers, they are wives, they are members of their families who work to support their families, and they understand the plight of the common man. And trust me, they're not afraid to articulate it. I can fast forward and see Laura, Lady Lee, and Marcella in cabinet fighting on behalf of women and families in St. Lucia. And I'm saying the gentlemen had better know that we will have some serious women in cabinet advocating for women. And I want to encourage the women of St. Lucia, the people of St. Lucia. I mean, I've heard men say that they prefer a woman to represent them any day because they know we are fighters. They know we don't take no for an answer. So I'm really excited as I'm leaving politics.
You're leaving?
Well, I haven't put myself up for elective office. So let us just say this is my exit, isn't it, Andre?
Asking me that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, because you've asked me the question, am I leaving? Well, I've not put myself up for elective politics. So.
You know, it's just about asking the question,
yes, yes.
So honestly, whether you intend to...
No, well, I haven't put myself up and I don't intend to do it again, no. We're passing the baton, you as well, Spider.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited.
You agree, Mr. Montoute?
I'm so
I have passed the baton.
Right. I'm so excited and so willing to pass the baton to these women who I know will do an excellent job for the people of St. Lucia in cabinet alongside the men.
And talking about advocating for women, let me ask you a very important question because you've been in government. Why is it so difficult, because it seems that way to me, to change the law where it relates to single mothers and child support? I think there's a ceiling right now of $200 a month or something like that. So we're talking about advocating for women. Right. Why has that been so difficult to change that?
I think it has to be balanced. To be honest with you, it has to be balanced. Fathers need to be child support. There's no doubt about it. Children also need fathers to be with them because a single mother raising a child, even if she's able to provide food on the table, the child needs to have the presence of the father to have wholesome, holistic development, particularly at the tender age. We don't need fathers in jail for not paying child support.
I agree.
Right. So it has to be looked at in a holistic way. Men must live up to their responsibilities. The society and community must support men. We need to have opportunities for young men to excel in education. The girls are pacing. We need to have court systems that understand the dynamics and needs of the family to support both. We need to make sure we can provide employment and support systems for young men who go astray to pull them back in so that they do not reach a situation where they're sitting on the block, unemployable, and unable to meet their family commitments. And we also need to have a society that encourages building strong, healthy families where men and women understand that they can't just simply have sexual relations and walk off without commitment. Andrea, I think you'll agree with me on this, and Spider.
Yeah.
I mean, how many children are born out of wedlock here?
Too many.
And that makes the man believe that he can just walk out. There needs to be a firm commitment. This is why our party supports family, because it is the building block of society, where people are in a committed relationship, where they are both committed to the children that they bring forth, and they're in a legal relationship, and they don't just walk off because something goes wrong. There are times when even in the best of relationships, something can happen and the parties cannot work together.
Yes. So
Even they are two perfectly good people, circumstances, or they may just not have been compatible. We appreciate that. But that should be the exception and not the norm.
we agree.
So we
let's
have to
talk
look
about
at the
the-
whole
let's-
framework.
So let's talk about the exception,
Right.
Ms. Flood.
To answer your
How do
question,
we address this?
We can't just look at it, oh, men are not paying. Obviously, they need to be paying up, but let us also look at the situation, how it is men have found themselves in this situation. How is it young men have grown up to feel that it's okay not to make a firm commitment in a relationship?
Yes.
So a lot of dynamics, churches, schools, parents, leaders, we all need to be speaking the same language, and not just speaking, modeling it, so that our strong, healthy families are built from the bottom up, so that we do not have that problem, or that if we have it, it's the exception. Sorry, exception. You were telling me.
Agree. So let's talk about the exception.
Yeah.
Why has it been so difficult now to offer support to these exceptions, where you have females,
Yeah.
single parents, and they're dealing with a guy who's not committed, he's not doing his... So the law has to force him now to do the right thing. So I'm asking, why has it been so difficult to address this issue? Why is it that single mothers continually have to be going and begging and pleading,
Yeah.
taking these
Right.
guys to family court, and all they get is $200? I'm saying, what is the problem? Why has that not changed?
Because our policymakers have not been serious enough about it.
But you were there.
Yes, but it doesn't just take one person. It doesn't just take one person. First of all, Spider will tell you how hard I work. I mean, Spider was the minister for social transformation. He always used to say, Sarah, you're doing more social work than I am. He always used to say, Sarah, you're doing more social work than I am. Yeah. We tried to put together, for example, the Synergy program to provide an opportunity for young men to be able to work. Okay. It's much easier. I mean, if a man goes to court and says, I'm not working, how can there be an attachment of earnings if you're not working? What are the earnings going to attach to? If you're working and there's a job there for you and I've sent you on training, you don't go to work, I'm putting you in jail and you have a right to be there. I mean, look at systems overseas where there is a safety net. There are job centers, for example. Someone's not working, I'm going to give you unemployment insurance for a couple of months, and I'm offering you this training opportunity that is a direct route to a job. You have no excuses after that. I think in our last election, we did promise unemployment insurance. That was one of the things that the people rejected. So I would not necessarily advocate put them in jail. No. Provide a way out. Provide the support system. Give them a route to work. If you don't work, I'll be the first to put you in jail. So it's not just put the law there. It's about what are the social support structures that are going to be there to ensure that the law is effective. And sometimes even the women don't want their child's father to be in jail because they want the child to have access to the father. You know, this is one of the... There have been studies on this overseas, not in St. Lucia, But a lot of young men who ended up in jail say, I was in jail because my father was absent. And that just helps the cycle repeat itself. So in answer to your question, the law needs to be enforced, but there needs to be all those social support
why not change, Ms. Beaubrun? Why not change? You say enforced. Enforced would mean that all they're entitled to or obligated to is the $200. Why can't that law change? That's what I'm asking.
I am saying it should change, but the law is not the only thing that should change.
I agree with you.
So
support
that's the point
systems
I'm
and so on.
making, right.
Yes, I get you.
So you change the law, put the support systems.
There's another important thing I need to bring
So it's
to your attention,
comprehensive
because you're
approach.
talking about advocating for women.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr.
No, I'm very interested.
Sorry
in
about
this. I'm confused too.
I had a guest here from the NIC on Tuesday evening, and we were talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking about the support that women, maybe a spouse or a child, after the death of the father, right? And I gave a scenario where a father dies and maybe he has one child, just one, for example, one child, and maybe he's not married. And I was told that if the father was getting $1,000 from the NIC, that child now gets half of that, $500, until they age 18 or something like that. Shouldn't that be looked into as well?
Yes.
Because we're talking about support systems and so on. How can that make sense?
Agreed. These figures are low, as is the public assistance, and to some extent the salaries, the wages that some workers get. But you know something? Unless a country can create wealth, it cannot increase these things just without knowing where the money is coming from. Unless a country can create wealth, and by wealth creation, I'm not just talking about taxes, which is what the current government is doing. The current government is just taxing people. Gas is now a tax as far as I am concerned. We need to have a government that can create wealth, that can harness the physical and natural resources of the country and also invest in the human resource to create wealth. Unless we have the money, we can't put it in the budget. We can't do it. So, for example, one of the seven SOS plans that we've spoken about is health insurance. That is important. That persons
can I
can go.
interject here?
Yes, sorry.
You were talking about the NHI, National Health Insurance, and that one
Yes.
appeals to me. I suspect more than the two of you, and maybe because of my age. You know.
I'm not far. I'm not far,
you know.
far behind you, Spider.
So, but
Not so far behind you.
one of the things that the opposition is coming with is like where they're going to get the money to finance NHI. But I think the UWP has explained that. They say that if you're working, you make a contribution towards it. For those who are not working, government will contribute. But I just wanted to say that it's not like it's so exorbitant. You know, I listened to the president of the National Police Welfare Association talk about an insurance for police where they're paying $75, Andre.
Mm.
And if a police dies, they get in the line of duty, they get $300,000. If he dies natural death, $100,000. If he has some accident and so on, he gets health coverage for $75,000.
Yeah.
Now we are saying at least 100,000 people or more. That's a population of St. Lucia. More than 100,000 people, and it is $75,000. At the end of the day, you all will agree with me. The insurance can afford to pay the police because not every day a police is going to die. You understand what I'm saying? By the same token, many of the people who are contributing, in some cases, may never even draw down. So it is, you know, they make it sound like it's impossible. I just wanted to make that point so that St. Lucians can understand. It's not like the premium going to be $75,000. It's not, you know. Yeah.
Another important point with regard to healthcare, during our term of office, we invested a lot in primary health care and the health centers.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to providing this $75,000 every year, based on how we approached it before, which I'm sure is how, when we get into office, we will do it, continue to invest in primary health care and encourage healthy lifestyles.
Right.
So
give me an opportunity to use my favorite phrase. Andres will tell you prevention is better than cure.
Right.
I will tell you prevention is cheaper than cure.
Right, absolutely.
You know?
So that, you know, the whole question of eating healthy, the whole question of investing in agriculture so we can eat healthier foods. Now that persons can visit a doctor. Well, I'm already talking as though we're in government. I'm saying not that persons can. I see it coming, Spider.
Yes.
So when we get into government and persons are able to have a health card and NHS card that they can go to the doctor, that means that health conditions will be detected early. If a health condition is detected early, it becomes less costly to treat it. If we invest in mental health and prevention, primary health care, there'll be less persons going to the secondary institutions, the polyclinics, and the tertiary institutions. You know, a lot of our diseases are lifestyle diseases. So as we continue to invest in health at the primary level, hopefully the cost of health care should eventually come down, particularly at the secondary and tertiary levels. So you find less people needing to be on lifelong medications for diabetes and hypertension because they would have managed this earlier on. Less persons needing to be on dialysis because they would have managed this earlier on. So this is the vision. So it's not just a question of we have $75,000 a year for health care and perhaps is this going to rise? No, we want to make sure that people are healthier so that the burden or the cost of healthcare reduces because we have less need to access the more expensive forms of healthcare, secondary and tertiary education.
Certainly. Now I want to pivot from healthcare to governance. That is a concern of mine lately. Again, I think you're well placed to speak on the subject. I mean, you said a while ago, I said a while ago, I'm older than you are, but politically you are much older than I am.
I'm not sure, but you've had so many experiences.
Well, that's true.
I learn a lot from you, you know.
You do.
And we continue to learn every day.
True.
Every day is a new day in politics, as we say.
But I mean,
Thank you.
but suffice it to say, some of the things I'm learning now are disturbing.
It's a different time completely.
I used to be the minister responsible for social transformation, as you indicated, and as a result, I was responsible for the SSDF. Now there's this meme going around with me saying that I know Andrew interested in that one.
Yes.
Andrew,
I am always the last to see all these things. So
feel free to interject when you feel like, Andrew.
Definitely.
Yes.
And so I made the statement that 99% of the people employed were in fact supporters of the Labour Party. And so I was taken to task, I was chastised and so on. So I said, okay, fine. If I was mistaken, if I was wrong, I would like to correct myself. So I came back and I said 99.9%.
That sounds like it's right.
You know, and it is a fact. Whether they like it or not, that is a fact. And people don't like to deal with the truth here, but the truth is the truth and it can't be changed. I remember there was this meeting when I became minister. The whole project was set up before my time, and it was set up by the St. Lucia Labour Party that indicated it's a 2-year contract, and after 2 years, a new court would be employed. You could go to the SSDF today and ask them. Okay? When I came, I didn't touch the people. I didn't have any interfere with anybody. When the contract came to an end, we went about recruiting new people. There were some who returned, but there were also new recruits. The Labour Party made an issue and said that we fired their people, which was not true. The contract came to an end, and some of them were not reinstated. Some of them were reinstated. Now, what do you mean by I fired your people? What does that mean?
That's an admission.
You know, I remember Emma Hippolyte went to the Grocery Secondary School at the time it was, before it became the Sports Academy, had a meeting there with her people, and you can get footage of it where she was saying, referring to them as our people. Okay?
Well, I guess they mean Labour Party supporters.
That's correct.
Yes.
Which is what I said. Which is what I said. And
So
today,
so you think there's something wrong with them saying our people?
no, but if you no, nothing wrong. If it was a fact,
okay.
it was their people. But if you're telling me, when I tell you it's 99.9% of the people were your people, you're making a song and dance about it.
You were the one who said it.
You're the one who said it.
Yeah, but remember, you give the statistics, 99.9%.
Yes.
Does that mean you were correct?
I was correct because they claimed them. They were their people. Because the point I was making is that they were hand-picking party supporters, okay, to be in the program. Now, I don't get involved in that kind of politics.
I don't either.
And people in my constituency...
When you say that kind of politics, like, what do you mean? Like,
victimizing people because of political affiliation.
Okay.
Okay, and just let me give you an example, and I'm sorry, I might guess there. I wanted to have more of the say.
No, please,
But
Spider,
let me just indicate to you, when I became sports minister in 2006, there were people at the stadium, the people who were working at the stadium were predominantly people from Kaimaje. And quite rightly so, the stadium is in Bosejo Kaimaje area. And so, however, if you know anything about Rosalie politics, you know that if I got 2 votes in Kaimaje, I got a lot. And so predominantly they were Labour supporters. And they were concerned about the fact that I became the minister. Okay? And I mean, because the biggest flags you saw was from Kaimaje and so on. But I went in there and you could tell the unease and so on. One of them actually approached me, so what happened to our jobs? So, Chief, are you going to fire us and so on? I said, well, why would you say so? I said, well, because we are supporting you all and so on. And I realized I could have fired them. And I thought to myself, but that's not right. You understand what I'm saying? I will confess to you that if there was a vacancy, I would look for my person to fill the spot, but I was not about to take away somebody's job because of their political affiliation. So I said to them, you know something? That's a sad situation that this could be so. What you'll need to do, and they're still there, you can go and ask them, what you'll need to do is become unionized. So if tomorrow I'm not Minister of Sports, the incoming minister can just fire you. Okay? You can ask them, they are there. I was at a funeral just on Friday, and I met with some of them, and they engaged me for a long time because they had their own cooler as part of the thing, and insisted that I come and have a drink with them. Not that they pretended to be my supporter. I know they're not. They know that I know they're not. But that's the relationship I have with them because of that.
Absolutely.
And so I'm saying to you, today, the St. Lucia Labour Party has decided that they will make their people permanent. Okay? That is the nice workers who are the caregivers. And so they had a special meeting of the SSDF because those people work for the SSDF, which is a quasi-government institution financed by taxpayers.
So all these employees there are Labour Party supporters? All of them?
Not all,
but most of them.
About the caregivers.
The caregivers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The caregivers. Because they are handpicked by the parliamentarians and put in the program. So they brought them to the cultural center sometime last week to inform them that they are going to be made permanent. By the way, let me make it clear up front. Andre, don't bother ask me. It's a move I support. Because by making them permanent, what you're doing, you're empowering them that they can come to you and get something on hire purchase. They can go to the bank and get a loan. They're more secure.
Yeah.
So that's granted. Nothing wrong with that. But it became a Labour Party campaign platform. Okay? By the Prime Minister himself. And one of the workers got onto the podium and said, we have to make sure we go out on election day and vote for the SLP. Okay? Because the SLP that make us permanent and so on. And to ensure that Alan Chasney never, maybe a few more nevers, get into government again.
So those words actually said at that particular function?
In that function. Okay?
So that's why that's why the clip is running around saying that you don't support the NICE program. That's why you were saying so.
That's why I'm saying.
Okay, now I understand.
Okay. Now, it's not that I don't support the NICE program, okay, because we increased the numbers when I became minister.
Doesn't the clip say that?
What?
That you don't support it? Or something?
No, I don't say I didn't support the NICE program. They are saying that I got rid of their workers. I didn't know it was their workers. As far as I'm concerned, it's supposed to be SSDF workers.
So let me ask you, Mr. Montoute. So when you didn't renew the contracts of those Labour Party supporters?
No,
so,
some of the NICE workers.
But you said,
you said 99%. But the Labour Party claimed them. So that is why I said that was proved to me that they were handpicking their supporters for the job, which is wrong.
So how do you arrive at this conclusion that you fired, or you didn't,
which is not true.
Renew the contracts of the Labour Party supporters? How do you arrive at that?
Okay, the contract came to an end.
Right.
And we had to hire, according to them who set up the program, a new cohort.
Mm-hmm. So the new cohort, what, included what?
No,
The United Workers' Party supporters or
no,
both?
Andre. You see, that's where we're going with.
Well,
See, the
please.
Labour Party has politicized everything to the extent that now it becomes Labour Party supporter. It should be a new cohort of St. Lucians, okay, who are interested in becoming caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but because they practice that kind of thing where they handpick their supporters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I will not call people's name here, but in the case of grocery, I can name off the bat known SLP supporters. And I say known because they're always in their red run with their flags and openly showing their support for the SLP. They were in the program when I was minister at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So can you say conclusively that when there was a new cohort,
Mhm.
okay, that favoritism was not shown, as you said, you're making jobs available for St. Lucians.
Yes.
So it included both
Whoever
Labour
came,
and...
whoever came to me and indicated the interest,
Mhm.
I referred them to the SSDF. Okay? Now,
So it didn't matter
may
to
be-
you who... What,
It
what
may
colour?
be. It didn't matter to me.
Okay.
It may be that you did not come because you are a Labour supporter,
Mhm.
but that's up to you, because you know how your party operates. But I don't operate that way, and that's the point I'm making. Okay, and that's the point I'm making. Let me just say to you, the very SSDF, Joachim Henry, the current minister responsible for SSDF, was the executive director when I was minister. You honestly believe I did not know his politics? Okay? There was a gentleman called Bob from Soufre, forget his last
I
name. now.
remember. Mm.
Okay? He was a high official in it. The brother of Dr. Luis, okay? He's a doctor himself, I forget his name now. He was there. The son of Sam Auger, my good friend, worked there. I did not, Mondi Luis worked there. I did not interfere with any of them. They can tell you, I interacted with the executive there, had nothing to do with the workers. Okay? I can tell you, my brother Thaddeus Montoute was employed at the SSDF. The moment the government changed, he was gone. Okay? And I can say that openly. He was gone. And I mentioned names to you, so you can verify with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? When we got out of office, because Joachim went into politics, we got back into government, Alison Matre became the executive director. Once the government was changed, he was gone. But they're going to accuse people of victimization. But I really want to know what your view, when things like that happen, as someone, you're a 3-time parliamentarian, you've been in government, well, not 3 full terms, but on 3 different separate occasions, on different administrations. I want your take on this. When you're talking about governance, how could you, as an elected member of government, using, and it doesn't matter who I support, I pay taxes. Okay, it is our tax money you're taking. And you go in and, and that is what is happening today. Everything, the lines between state and party are blurred. And the St. Lucia Labour Party is using state resources and state institutions to advance their partisan political campaign. And that is what I have a problem with. So I just want your take on that.
Yes. So, first of all, I mean, I've heard former permanent secretaries speak about this, and this is egregious. For this to happen with state resources, I mean, as I said, we are at the edge of a precipice, and for that to happen so blatantly and openly.
For what to happen?
For state resources to be used for a political event. That's what it was. Someone who was present told me that when she got there were whistles and everything. They came to a political event.
Yeah.
There were whistles and everything, and it was, you would have sworn you were at a political rally.
And the SSDF is not an arm of the St. Lucia Labour Party. It's not.
Now, let us say those persons who are not there are not on permanent establishment. Maybe they don't know the rules. Let us just say they were caught up in the moment. They got word that they were going to be put on permanent contract. They were all excited. They don't know the rules of the public service. And let us say they got carried away. And let us say that this person who stood up and said what she said, escorted by Spider, also got carried away. Let's just say that. The Prime Minister was present.
And the minister was present.
And the minister, and I
Joachim.
assume the minister was present for civil transmission, and I assume the officials at SSDF
Right.
who ought to know what the rules are. And there is also a permanent secretary for that ministry.
Right.
Let us just say all these people, well, they were there, but the crowd, the persons who made the noise, they got carried away. What should the public officials who know better have done at that event to make sure the rules are not violated in such a public way? They are the custodians of all of the government machinery and the rules that make sure that we can flourish and operate in a democracy. Mm-hmm. Have they said anything? Did they say to that lady, no, ma'am, no, you don't do that?
You mean after the event, or? It
should have been done during the event, because you've got to send a message right away. It's not to be this way, so that everybody gets it. No, ma'am, no. And you apologize. I'm sorry, this wasn't meant to be this way. This is not a political event. And I appreciate your support, but I would encourage you not to make political statements. You say it right away. Because you are the leaders and you know the rules and you ought to set the example. Up to now, has the Prime Minister spoken about what happened?
Well, I want to go back. I want to go back on your statement about setting the example.
Go ahead,
The example was in fact set by the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister just days before, at a cabinet press briefing. Cabinet means government, okay? At the cabinet press briefing, brought Lisa Joa here to speak at a cabinet press briefing. She's not a member of cabinet. Okay, to talk about her launching, okay, her Labour Party candidate launching. That is how far we have gone now. We're blurring the lines between state apparatus and partisan politics. And like you quite rightly said, we are dismantling democracy when we do that.
Very quickly.
And that is very dangerous.
We have dismantled. We have dismantled the government machinery. We've done it. We have done it. Sorry, Spider. I don't know. I mean, I do watch Facebook from time to time, although I haven't seen the meme. I don't know if you saw. There's a Facebook video out, and I think somebody called Newspin to talk about a government minister using the government vehicle to go out on the campaign trail.
Yeah, right. To go to a political rally.
Right, and I think the person even alleged that the government minister takes off the number plate of the government and puts on a false number plate.
Right.
Allegations. I don't know if it's true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's true because of everything else that's happening.
You know, Andre, another incident. Lisa Jouari is not an elected member. Okay? She may never be. I hope she will not be. She is a candidate for the SLP, and she comes out to say, now, I mean, people talking about politics, I don't have a problem. While they are talking, I am working because I am now installing lights on whatever playing field. Who are you? You're not the parliamentary rep. You're not the minister.
Where have these lights come from?
You are not the minister of sports. Are you installing lights? The lights that are paid for by the taxpayers. Who puts you in a position to say that you are installing lights? So again, they are using government resources to advance the partisan political agenda.
So has the party written to the Prime Minister about all these instances that you've identified? Has the party written to him?
We have not, but this is something that we are considering. Not that it will make a difference.
But at least it's there for the record.
Put it on record. We are going to put it on record.
But Andrew, I mean, that's a good question. We have responsibility to bring it to Prime Minister formally. But we live in an age of technology and information. I mean, the Prime Minister doesn't know all of this, to be honest. The Prime Minister doesn't know all of this. And on the eve of an election, to be so brazen about everything, you don't care. It's a complete lack of respect for people.
And you know,
lack of respect for people.
Sarah, hadn't it been for the and I don't want to criticize UWP, it's my party, but I have to say it. For the first time, UWP has shown strength in opposition. Okay, I say for the first time, at least during my time. Okay, you know, hadn't it been for that, the amount of other egregious things that have taken place. Are you aware, Andre, that almost for a year, the Integrity Commission, a requirement by our Constitution to ensure that we keep public officials accountable was not constituted by the Prime Minister. That's his responsibility to recommend the people to the Governor General so that we can have an integrity commission. For almost a year, we did not have one. So you could imagine the whole mess that took place during that time, you know. Could you imagine that those guys appointed someone who was employed with government to be a senator one time? Silas Wilson. I mean, that is actually breaking the law. That is what we have now as government in this country, you know. I don't know. So I ask you what you think about governance, because you know, I mean, not only have you served in Parliament, you are also a legally trained person, so you must have understanding about it. So I say maybe I am the one who does not have the understanding because I have a problem with what's going on. You understand what I'm saying? And to think that these experienced politicians are encouraging and perpetuating that, you know, we're soon going to have a one-party state.
Are you taking calls today? I'm sorry.
Yes, we are. What time is it, Andre?
22 minutes to 11.
When you have great guests, that's what happens.
Yeah. like the last time.
Yeah.
So you wanted me to just comment on governance. I mean, I'll make a quick comment because maybe it's time to receive calls. I don't know. It seems that we hold our politicians to a very high standard, but we don't seem to hold our leaders to a high standard. Isn't that very curious?
Very much so.
I mean, we're on the campaign trail and there's so many things are coming out with this one, that, and that one, that. Is this person fit, this person not? But the leaders, the things they're doing, those who are actually in government, I hope we intend to hold them to a very high standard. I really hope we intend to do that. And it goes, Andre, there are some, and leaders also need to be held up to a higher standard than the ordinary person. We're human. We will make mistakes. It's part of being human. It's how we handle the mistakes we make. Right? So it's not okay for the Prime Minister to say, I don't know, when you ought to know.
Well, he says
I don't have the information now.
He doesn't know for things that happen right in his presence.
I don't have the information now, but I'll get back to you on it. We don't expect you to be walking with everything in your head. There might be something you have to consult the Director of Finance on. I don't have the information, but I promise you I'll get back to you on it.
As a matter of fact, you quicker be told it's not your business.
Right?
You know? Yes.
Right.
So, Andre, we can give the numbers so
Sure.
our callers can call in. And let me just say that you have to be put and that's a required, that's mandatory, a requirement. You have to be courteous to my guests. And like I always say, remember, I'm still the host of the show. Don't try to take over my show.
And you can use the headphones.
Yes.
You can use the headphones.
Okay,
Okay, let me give the numbers in the meantime. The fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line is 572-9710. Or you can call the WhatsApp platform at 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. We have somebody on the WhatsApp platform.
Okay. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Welcome to Beat the Opposition. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Miss Sister Sarah. Good morning, Mr. Paul.
Good morning
Good
to you,
morning.
sir.
Yeah, and good morning, listener, and good morning, St. Lucia. Yeah, I have one question for each of y'all, but I will just put the question and I will exit and I will listen to y'all off air.
Well, let us know which one is for whom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I will go on Sarah Flood first.
All right.
Like I heard she say like about the police, like he have to excuse himself for him to deal with the matter about the allegation that was saying about him.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to point to her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in government when Janine Compton come out and say a minister tried to rape her or tear up her clothes or try to kiss her. And I did not hear she say like that minister have to excuse himself to go and deal with that matter. Yeah. Now, I will listen to her that one offline. But Spider, let me come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mr. Paul, on your show, Spider made that statement about 95% the nice worker was
99,
SLP sub. No, like before the 99, you come out with the 95%.
Okay.
You say like that was 95% was SLP supporters. At that time, the contract wasn't ended as yet for Labour Party to come out and say, okay, it was our supporters. Yeah. So now you come in and say, oh, the SLP, so I'm taking the supporters and as they, because my sister was a victim in that too. Yeah, because she take the training, she do not have a job from that. So I will listen up. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
hold
you,
on.
Mr.
Before you go, I just want to clarify something. You said that I said 95%. I could have, but I mean, eventually I said 99.9. But the point, the question I want to understand is, what are you saying? What I mean, you said that I said so then. So what?
No, you said because of the Labour Party take the initiative to say that that was their supporters. But before the Labour Party come out, I didn't hear it. But before I go according to what you say. Before the Labour Party come out and say that, you already say that it was the Labour Party supporters before the contract.
Okay, so what's the problem with that?
But because Andre told you about what's about the Labour Party supporters, like if they get their job taken away, and you're trying to say
the job was not. But I'm telling you, the job was not taken away. I've already said so. They served the contract. The contract came to an end. Okay,
Yeah,
so I have answered your question. So let me allow Sarah to answer a question. Although, if I remember clearly, that statement was made during an election campaign, and Sarah was not in government at the time.
Right. Well, Spider, you seem to have a better memory than me because I had to double check with you. At the time that statement was made, I was a candidate for an election. I was not in government at the time, so I think that the caller has his facts wrong.
That was said during the 2011 campaign, and the House was dissolved already. So not even I was in government.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah.
We have another call.
Yes, caller, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make a contribution, please.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Sister Sarah. Good morning, Mr. Paul.
Good morning to you, sir.
Quickly, Spider, the statement that was made in the cultural center, while the government did not denounce it, one have to say that they embrace it fully, because in the launching of Harrison, they did play that. Wow. So you can go back on the live, and that was part of the presentation in Nico.
Well, you tell me the situation is, you're actually telling us the situation is worse than we think it is.
Yeah, it is. So if you go on the live, it was part of the presentation.
Wow.
That's exactly when she keeps saying that never, 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 never.
Mm-hmm.
It was highlighted in Miko. Mm-hmm. And now quickly again, Spider, people keep saying that distress fund was stopped. But what they're not saying is that there was an emergency fund who paid a lot more because the distress fund had a cap on it.
Right.
Now the reason I'm saying this, I saw what happened on the thing with Marcelina. And we saw people assisted a gentleman. And I think some of the reporters, very shameful, I should say, with Cecil, because the way she was putting the question to the gentleman. Because I don't know if Marcelina came and said that she was the person who made the rainfall to end the disease that was going on. The problem. I think it was a collective agreement where everyone came together and assist the boy. So now the question is, since that happened, I saw a video on Kenson's page where he presenting a check. So I'm saying, is it genuine? Because we know many people in St. Lucia lost their house for many years, and they're still saying they're going through the distress fund. Even Andre Paul have said maybe people don't know the proper channel to go to get assistance. So why he saw the need to go and make a video of him presenting a check to these people?
I can answer that question.
Thank you, Colin.
Because we are going through a political campaign, and the St. Lucia Labour Party is politicizing everything and using state resources to advance their campaign. And that is another example of it. You know, and before I go, let me just say you are very correct, because we did not have a fund called the Distress Fund. But there was in that emergency fund that you referred to far more money than there was in the distress fund. And during our tenure, we gave far more assistance than the Labour Party ever came close to giving. So to suggest there was not a distress fund, yes, there was no distress fund, but people in distress were funded far more than previously. I'd like to welcome you to Meet the Opposition. Please go ahead and make your contribution, caller. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, it's okay, sorry. Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Miss Sarah Flood.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning, Andre.
Morning to you, sir.
Miss Flood, let me ask you a question. If you are a minister in government, right, and somebody, you know, maybe, I wouldn't say they committed the crime, but they were in an act of committing a crime, they were reported or they are arrested, would you bail this person?
That question is for
minister?
Who's that question for?
For Miss Flood.
Miss Flood, okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't like to answer an anecdotal question. What if something happens? What if? No. I refrain from doing that because I think we have to look at facts in context. So if you tell me if so-and-so and if so-and-so, would I do that? I can't answer that question. Because the if so-and-so can have many questions, can have many facts that I don't know about. This is a blanket question that I can't answer. If there is a specific issue that has occurred and you want to know how I feel about it, ask me. But not on just a anecdotal question, what if? No, because I don't have all the facts. I don't know what the facts could be. And depending on what the facts are, my response might be different. So, Cole, I'm afraid I can't answer the question. It's just too out there for me to answer.
You have another call?
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make a contribution, please.
Yeah, good morning to all. Good morning to the entire team there.
Good morning.
Right,
Good morning.
I want to make it short. Hey there. The first caller who called and he tell you about the nice people, whatever, and you dismiss them, that's a lie. I know for sure. Most of them people, you never touch them. But you know who just touch people when they get into power? The St. Lucia Labour Party government. And I'm not afraid to say that. And I could say it in front of them. As soon as the government changed this year, you remember the Castle City Council? 17 was sent home. When they realized they had a hack there, they reinstate him. And you're talking about the chief in the city council was reinstated. And 16 went. And right now the Labor Department and the CSA ask them to pay off the people, especially the people with valid contracts that never had no problem, that the work is up to date. When they send the supervisor to supervise before you get payment, 100%. So you have to pay these people. Why? You have to victimize people because they're supporting a political party. And today, the Labour Party government refused, and the mayor of Castle refused. She has the letter to pay off the 16 individuals, and yet she does not want to pay them. That's to show how wicked the St. Lucia Labour Party is. And when they're talking about victimization, who's victimizing people more? As long as they know you're not supporting them, they'll shut you up. That is wrong. We all are St. Lucians. When you were the Spider, you didn't touch anyone. It's just that certain people had a contract and you have a right to renew it or don't renew it when it's ended. And it goes to the same way with the 16 people who had contracts. It's either you have let the people finish their contract and you said, well, okay, we don't need your services again. Thank you very much. Wow. But they dismiss people across the board. And this is something the United Workers' Party need to bring up. We too quiet on that because the Labour Party could victimize people and attack people left, right, and center, and nothing for that. I'm not afraid of any of them fellas in the St. Lucia Labour Party. Because these guys, when they say putting people first, they know what they're talking about. Because you had a meeting at the cultural center and people jumping up to make it permanent just to get rid of Alan Shasta. but he'll be victorious when the bell rings. If they're so confident, tell him ring the bell. Philip Jean-Pierre, if you're so comfortable, you'll win another election. Ring the bell. This is my contribution.
All right, thank you very much, caller. Let me just say this. I mean, at the end of the day, when the contract of nice workers came to an end, it was those who were interested in continuing came and made a request. Who were interested in becoming part of the program made a request. So that's what it was. Unlike the Labour Party, I wasn't going around hand-picking people to put into the program. But do not continue to say that I dismiss nice workers. I did not. The contract came to an end. And there's another matter I want to bring up, but I'll bring it up as we go along later in the program. Do we have any caller?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we have a caller. So, caller, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Mr. Andrew Paul.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Miss Flood-Beaubrun.
Morning. Good morning, sir.
I want to start with an issue, and I believe the best man is sitting at the seat there. That is you, Spider. There's been something going on Friday on a show Andre have in the evening about 5, and the spewing of opposition minister of the last opposition, which was the government now. The members were not being assisted with any funds to help the constituency. And I know you're in a good position to actually answer that question.
Okay, I don't have to think to tell you that is absolutely untrue. Okay, I'm trying to be diplomatic now. I don't use my normal language. I'll tell you it's untrue. Well, not just me, but I will speak for me. I, as Minister of Social Transformation, was responsible for the SSDF. And just like the St. Lucia Labour Party has what they call STEP, we had what we call stimulus. Yes. And there is a record at the SSDF where you can go back and see that all opposition constituencies were given an allocation for stimulus. When it came to school, back to school, we gave allocations for books and educational assistance to all constituencies. So, and I'm telling you, every single parliamentarian of the St. Lucia Labour Party received assistance. Every single one.
Now, my brother, not to cut you short, but can that be available to the public? And that's why I have a problem with our system of government, because honestly, that shouldn't even be in a debate. People shouldn't even be spewing lies about stuff like that.
And I'm not going to even ask you who said it. The person is dishonest, whoever said it. And the person knows better.
Andre is a witness, you know, because I call the program and tease all the time, but that's fine. I'm always called a liar, but that's okay. That's for another show. The last question. You probably heard the Minister for Infrastructure. Can I ask you another question? And again, you may be in the position to know that. How long has the Minister of Infrastructure actually hold that position for? Do you recall?
It is 9 years going to 10 now.
All right. Thank you very much. The reason why I asked you that question, you see that no right turn that these guys put by Computer World there? Yeah. Man, this is madness. You know, this is really madness. I challenged the minister and gave him I told him, why is it you put a right turn and that right turn couldn't be at a particular time? And he realized what I was saying, and he said that, oh, well, that's a good idea, Colin. So, my brother, I just don't like to disrespect people, but come on, man. This is an embarrassment, you know, for a man that have been holding that. I'm not in the Ministry of Infrastructure. I have never held any position like that. But common sense, you know, if you have a lot of traffic and you have limited lanes, and you preventing the flow of traffic by not allowing vehicles to go either direction, it is common sense, you know. Okay. But you telling me that you put in a no right turn to allow the flow of traffic. How is that going to allow the flow of traffic, my brother, if you have a bottleneck? Now, the minister also came up with an idea. I don't know if Andrew was fascinated by the nice words, but the minister came up with an idea, and I want you all to understand what I'm saying. He mentioned something in the pipeline about 4 lanes or whatever lanes, amount of lanes that he's talking about. But here's the issue, and I know a lot of people speak of lanes. It is all well and good to build lanes, my brother. But where do those lanes end? Are you going to build 4 lanes to end it in a 2 lane or 1 lane? That's a bottleneck, my friend. You still going to have congestion when you reach where that single or double lane is. Because in the bigger countries, Spiders, you may know, we are dealing with traffic every single day, my brother, and there is lanes in abundance. You know, it's not about the lanes. Sometimes it's how you divert traffic from those main roads. If, for example, if I don't have to go to Castries, that's the main city, and I need to go to Grozile, why am I going through the city if it's already congested? There should be other routes that one can take to divert that traffic, to prevent one from entering the city if you have no business to go and do in the city. I think that's a better idea. You know, but who am I? Okay. Have yourself a wonderful day, my friend.
Thank you, caller. Now, on the issue of the right turn, I'm not sure I'm qualified to speak on this. All I'm concerned about is the lack of respect for the commuting public, where all of a sudden, out of the blue, people just came and saw the sign there, no consultation, no public information or anything like that. But I just want to quickly, before I take the next call, just say to the caller who asked for your benefit, let me just read from something there. That's 2017, when we were doing stimulus. I just want to read to you. Viewport North got $80,000 from the SSDF. Viewport South got $80,000 from the SSDF. Labrie got $80,000. Dennery North got $80,000. Castries East got $80,000. And Castries South got $80,000. You can go and ask Philip Pierre, Kenny Anthony, Ernest Hilaire, Sean Edward, who was responsible for Viewport North. Musa, you can go and ask them, and they will always tell you that they got $80,000 from the SSDF on those occasions. And in 2019, I can give you all the records, but I will just give you a little bit. In 2019, what they each got $60,000. So if they got absolutely nothing, okay, it means that you call $80,000 and $60,000 nothing, then that's correct. You got nothing. But if $60,000 and $80,000 is money, they got money. So whoever is saying so, I hope Andre can tell the person the next time the person comes here to spew those lies that they are being dishonest. Okay.
Just before you take the other call, I got some information here. I'm not sure if it's correct, but maybe you can check it out yourself. Someone says that in the case of the police and where the invoices are concerned, the invoices come from the insurance company, then goes to the Police Welfare Association, who verify the invoice and then pass it on to the ministry.
Right.
So basically he's saying then it was the PWA apparently who dropped the ball, if that is correct. Because he says the PWA insurance company sends it to the Police Welfare Association.
If you listen to what the PWA is saying, is that they have been passing on the invoices and the payments are just being delayed.
Exactly.
They said the only invoices they have not passed on is the last 3 months out of the 6 months that have not been paid. And it's something that's been happening from 3 years ago. The last 6 months there, the last 3 months have not been passed because they have been asking the Commissioner of Police for what they call it, an audit, something. I think they call it. I don't know if it's employees audit, so that they can know how many police officers are there who retire and new recruits and so on, and they would not get in the audit. Now that he came out public, according to him, the audit certainly arrived yesterday or the day before.
You have a call.
Okay. Yes. I'm caller. Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make a contribution, please.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Spider. Good morning, Ms. Flood.
Good morning.
I was just about to clarify what the texter or the caller said. The person is right. It doesn't reach the Prime Minister. All of the invoices is done, and it goes to the police welfare or any department in that. The Prime Minister does not receive invoices.
Did someone say that the Prime Minister does?
Does not receive invoices.
No, I'm asking you, did someone say that the Prime Minister does?
No. I'm just telling you about the invoices and things. It doesn't. So when they're talking about the money, as the Prime Minister said, the money has always been there. With all of the things, Mr. Spider, that the Prime Minister is giving to the police, you think the Prime Minister will lapse if he knows that the welfare is owing or the insurance? You think the Prime Minister, Philip Joseph Pierre, the man that I know, will want to lapse on the police with the insurance?
Okay, let me answer
I
you.
don't think so.
Let me answer you. Forget what I think.
Yeah.
The president of the Police Welfare Association explained exactly what the situation is, and if I am to go according to what he said, yes, Philip J. Pierre, that you know, lapsed.
No, he didn't
Okay,
lapse.
because the buck stops with him as Minister of Finance and Minister of National Security.
Said, the money has always been there. The other thing I want to say,
Nobody's talking about whether money is there or not. We are saying that the insurance is in jeopardy of being cancelled because of late payments, the delayed payments every time, and the PWA have to be begging for the payments to be made. And that is the issue.
will always assist the government somehow or the other.
Well, I doubt you know more than the president of the Public Welfare Association, Caller, and we have played at length. We will not belabor that point. We have dealt with at length.
All right.
I allowed the full extent of his statement on Newspin to be played for the benefit of our callers and listeners, and we all heard it.
All right.
Okay?
The other thing
You have one more question.
We have one more thing. The other thing I want to say, I helped Miss Flood. In fact, I worked with Miss Flood. Labour Party is what she is today. Her her pension, Labour Party gave it to her. She was in the Labour Party.
Gave her
she
pension.
got lots of things in the Labour Party.
Caller,
The Labour Party.
just stop right there. Don't come on my program. Do not come on my program and spew that nonsense. Labour Party gave her a pension.
Okay, caller. We'll have to take other calls. Sorry, we have to take another
the
call.
Labour Party gave anybody a pension. You see how they do not make the distinction between state and party.
I'll give you 10 minutes, okay? So we can go until 10 past. So we'll take another call. Yes.
No, but I have to make a point here. Now that is a Labour Party mouthpiece, okay? And they are instructed and brainwashed to the extent where they cannot make the distinction between state and party.
But Spider, just the one thing, just two things. The insurance is in arrears for 1 month, for 2 months, for 3 months, for 4 months, for 5 months, for 6 months. Philip J. Pierre doesn't know about it. Well, he's not doing his job.
Exactly.
He's
that's why I said yes, he lapsed.
doing his job. Case closed.
You have another call.
Well, Labour Party gave so Labour Party gave me a pension too. What on beat is it? Anyway, caller, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Good morning. I've been waiting so long on the line. I have to now.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry about that.
That's cool. That's okay. That's fine. I was enjoying the thing. First of all, Nenen already, the left caller Nenen, she called on Radio 100 yesterday and she threw the president of the PWA under the bus already by saying that, technically saying that he's a liar because she knows Philip Pierre to be honest. Anyways.
Well, I can find many examples of the Prime Minister being dishonest. I don't have any examples of the PWA president being dishonest.
Countless. Anyway, a contributor also made mention of the no right turn. There's a very simple way to remedy that situation. There's enough space on that particular road to create a middle lane where at least 3 or 4 vehicles can wait for them not to stop the main flow of traffic. So enough of that. Now, the main reason I'm calling is the accountability problem that there is in St. Lucia. And I am going to say that on the backdrop of the case concerning the assistant police commissioner, where he was accused of harassing female officers. And the DPP and the cop, the chief of police, said that he referred that matter to the DPP, and the DPP threw it out. Why is it the cop that's coming and make that pronouncement and not the DPP? Who is the DPP accountable to? Is he accountable to the cop, or is he accountable to the country who is paying his salary? And this is the problem we have. We have an accountability problem in St. Lucia. There's another accountability problem I have, and it deals with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is chosen from the elected parliamentarians. And immediately he becomes the Prime Minister, he becomes a king. So the people are now there at his behest. I mean, this is foolishness. The Prime Minister should be afraid to tell any minister he firing them, because they can gang up him and fire him. So our system of governance has too many flaws, and I'm looking forward to the day when an administration is going to put this system in a much better standing. That as it is now, it is not working. Thank you.
Okay, caller, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things there. Earlier on, I was referring to a manpower audit. That's the word. That's the term that the president of the PWA used when I was talking about what was required.
Okay, let's take a final call.
Let me just say quickly.
One second, caller.
Yeah, just one second, caller. Well, let me say quickly that the figures that I gave, I said 2017 and 2019, that was not for the year. That was for one of the stimulus programs during that year. So go ahead and make your contribution. Welcome to...
Final caller.
Yeah, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and
clear. Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay. Good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Flood, I am sorry that you heard it like this, but no special party gave you is giving you any allowance right now. You worked hard for it. You work hard for the government, and you are being paid. Okay?
By the country that you serve.
Small or low, no special party is giving it to you. You worked hard for that.
Thank you, caller.
And you did a good job of it too. Now, a question for you is, I have noticed, I wonder, how does DCA allow persons to build? I have noticed in the junction of Tuya Gap, just as you come up the gap, there is this big magical building. It's like a housing scheme, and it's among a set of other houses. I cannot see where people are going to park. I can see there will be problems for vehicular traffic. Not only that, but what about the water system? You know, how does DCA allow things like that? A big magical place to come in that area there like that. And it to me, that looks like it's going to cause a lot of problems. Is that government or is it private?
Well, I can answer that question,
Is it
caller.
government housing scheme?
It is private. Actually, and the private individual is a minister of government. Actually, the minister of housing. That is his building. So you can understand why it gets approval.
But what I'm saying is, this is going to cause problems of traffic, and what about water? Because it looks like this is about a 12 apartment place. Are we going to get problems for water?
Well, we have problems for water as it is.
Already.
Caller, you have trucks hauling water to the hotels right now during our rainy season.
Okay, sorry, caller. Sorry, we have to wrap up.
Okay, Andre.
Yes.
Andre, I will give the last say to my guests. Sarah, if you could just take the last couple of minutes to wrap up. If you have any last words for our listeners.
Well, there's so much I want to say, Spider, but I know I can't. We have a lazy government, I have to say this. I mean, I'm sorry I wasn't able to interject on quite a number of the calls because I prefer to let the callers call than to do the speaking. But when the callers call, the callers are calling to suggest to the minister and the Minister of Infrastructure how to deal with this traffic problem, what to do. We have a whole Ministry of Infrastructure. So many paid engineers and staff and people who are trained, who are supposed to do this in a scientific way, that you don't just wake up one morning and think of something and then just overnight, notice appears and then the minister says, I'll think about what you said. What is going on? Are we running a country or a saltfish shop? It looks like tax and spend. That's what this is what this government is doing. Putting tax on the backs of St. Lucians and just taking that money and throwing it and hoping it will catch. This is what's going on. This is why we have a serious traffic problem. Roads are being repaired everywhere before an election. You going up north, you blocked here, you blocked there. It now takes me so long to get to my house. The back roads are blocked, then you can't do a right turn. It's frustrating because it's just about taxing St. Lucians and throwing money at things with no plan whatsoever. We need to wake up. You ask the government what it's doing about crime, it tells you how much money it has spent and how many vehicles it's given the police. No plan, no vision. It can only get worse in St. Lucia. This gentleman who called about the city council and not paying those persons who had bona fide contracts with the city council that for so many years they haven't been paid. Why? We have a law for the weak and a law for the strong. Look at what government ministers get away with. But yet still, the poor people, the persons who cannot afford legal representation, you have a prime minister going in court to make sure justice is done to support a strong minister of government, but a poor, weak person cannot have his rights enforced because he doesn't have the money. St. Lucia, wake up. We have seen what the Alan Shastney administration can do and will do, and we are seeing a very poor example of governance, where the Prime Minister doesn't know what the hell he's doing, no vision, no backbone, no leadership. And you have questionable characters who are currently ministers of government, and some not even ministers, candidates already questionable. Ring the bell, Philip G. Pierre, so that we can breathe in St. Lucia.
Yes, Andre, let me just say quickly, I would like to ask all of you to join Guy Joseph on Sunday at his motorcade, and following that is a massive public meeting in Cul-de-sac, and I want you to join Laura Jean-Pierre in Laborie on Friday, where she will have a session there to commemorate the opening of her office. Please join us again next week on Meet the Opposition. Join me on Monday for Like It Is. Stay tuned to the United Workers' Party, where you get the truth and we bring you the issues that are of interest and concern to you. I want to thank you, Andre. Thank our listeners and our callers. And my guests, special thanks to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Leonard. And thank you, Ms. Beaubrun. Thank you very much. This has been Meet the Opposition. Listen again and view again next week, Thursday, same time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Those of you on Facebook, etc., we just say so long to you for now. We have the healing process coming up at 11:30 this morning. Kina will be here until 3 this afternoon. From 3 until 5 is going to be Zen the DJ. From 5 until 6 we have Mary Polius with Power Politics. So do enjoy the rest of your day. Andre Paul wishing you a great one. Bye-bye.